Hi, welcome back. So today we are speaking to the amazing Anna Shelley, who is a mind expander and soul aligner. So basically she helps you align your mind with your soul and also helps you do whatever you like, however you like. So I've been reading and watching Anna's stuff probably for the last 5 or 6 months now, I think, or something like that. And I was very inspired by a lot of the stuff that she blogs about and her message. So I thought it'd be amazing to have a chat to her today around mindset and really overcoming a lot of those blocks that we're putting up for ourselves. So thank you so much for joining us, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. So as you can see, Anna has her bubba with her today, which is exciting. We've got 2 special guests. uh, basically, as I mentioned, the girls that I work with are in that startup phase or the very early stages of their business. So, and with all the awesome stuff that I read that you do around that mindset and that block stuff, I really wanted to ask you a couple of questions today. So when dealing with the mindset and blocks, especially for the startup stage, what's sort of your opinion on the best way to tackle those blocks that come up?
Okay, well, I think most people's blocks revolve around overwhelm, right? So, and overwhelm comes in many forms. It's obviously like too much stuff, too much information. It can be frustration, it can be anger, it can be feeling confused or unsure. There's so many different ways that we can feel these blocks and that we can feel overwhelmed, and you may have different words to essentially describe what is the same thing, right? And when it comes down to it, being in a state of overwhelm is exactly the same as being in that fight or flight response, right? So we've all heard of fight or flight. Some of us have also heard it being described as fight, flight, or freeze. So there's that deer in the headlight or procrastination as we know it. And then we, if you go a little deeper, we've got fight, flight, freeze, or emotion, as in emotional breakdown, you just cry.
Yeah. I think I've got the last 2 covered.
Yeah. So I think us girls get the emotion bit quite a lot, right? Yeah. I mean, that's just how our brains are actually made that way, right? So if you're like that, don't beat yourself up, because we're born like that, right?
Okay.
So basically, you need to remove the overwhelm, because we see that as a threat to our survival, right? So, I mean, you can go extreme and say it's the equivalent of a lion chasing us, or that we're going into starvation, there's no food and we need to like wander across the desert to find an oasis or whatever. Or it could just be that emotionally we feel like we're in danger and we feel unstable. And that's the thing, like instability, right? So we have to remove the overwhelm. Or another way of putting that is we need to introduce something that is stable for us to latch onto, right? And so even just doing this can seem a little overwhelming, but you can do lots of little things to make it easier for yourself. So then if we put this into starting up a business, okay, so one way to reduce overwhelm is to not follow 800 people on Facebook on how to start a business. Follow one person, right? And so everyone watching this has got that one person, right? Everyone's got Teresa. So everyone listening, just follow Teresa. Don't follow anyone else, okay? Just follow this one person. Do what she says and don't do what everyone else says, because you're going to get conflicting information and you're going to get different perspectives, and you're going to get one person saying one thing and another person saying the opposite thing. And then that's when you get a lot of overwhelm because you try to implement 8 different things and you might not even truly resonate with all of those 8 different things. In fact, you're not going to, right? Because they're all going to be slightly different, right? So you've got to just stick with one person, or if you're really in love with lots of people, stick with 2 people max, okay? And then that alone is just going to cut the clutter. So I would say unfollow many people if you're following many people. Remove yourself from Facebook groups if they're promoting slightly different things, you know, and whatever you're paying for, right? So you're paying for this course, right? Implement that, get your money's worth, and just focus on the one thing, right? And I know as women, we're supposedly great at multitasking, right? But by good at multitasking, what that means is we're good at looking after a baby and gathering food and just keeping an eye out for danger and predators, right? We are not good at implementing 600 people's different opinions and advice. Like, it just does not work. And then we go into that freeze, right? So we either don't do anything at all, and then we go into that emotional breakdown where we just cry because we're not doing anything and we think we're not good enough because we can't do everything, even though we think because we're super women, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So my number one tip is just to eliminate all of that stuff, right? Just focus on one person that you're going to follow and implement all of their stuff. And then, you know, at some point, you know, you're going to grow and evolve and move on, right? And that's just how it goes, right? So, you know, you milk all you can out of the one person, and then when you're ready, then you move on to the next. But you don't try and do everything.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because when I started out, I didn't have anyone to guide me through, but I was a part of several Facebook groups and seeing a lot of other people doing the same thing as I was, and also getting, you know, it creates overwhelm seeing how other people do stuff, and also seeing what they believe is good business practice. And you know, it starts sort of it's like a bit of a tug of war. You think you're ahead of the game, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're nowhere in it. So
exactly, yeah. And so not only do we tend to follow other business gurus, but we tend to follow other people in our industry and try and copy them as well. And we don't even know how successful they are, you know. So how do we know if what they're doing is even working, and why are we copying them anyway when we're an individual, you know? So really, really best just to cut all of that stuff out, just focus on following the one business guru, not everyone, and just focus on doing what you do best, and that's just being yourself.
Yeah, awesome. I totally agree with that. And I think that the other thing that I've noticed is a lot of it is a lot of the other stuff that you see online can be a bit of a facade. People that you may think are successful might not possibly be successful. So
Exactly, yeah. And you see, like, if you're following other people in your industry, right, which is natural, right, because we're either curious or we want to work with them, or, you know, we're just friends with them or whatever. You know, if they've got a pretty website, or if they're really, really good at creating pretty images for their advertising, then we somehow think that they are better than us at what they're doing, and that they're more successful than us, and that they're making more money, and that they've got it all together, you know. But the truth is, they might just be really good at design, or they might have just paid someone to be really good at design, you know, and it just looks good, you know. And from a mindset point of view, we all want to put across a certain impression of ourselves, you know, and we all have an impression that we want to impart upon the world, and that we want our potential clients to see, and that we want our friends to see, and or that we are or that we are not or whatever, right? So we've got this impression that we want to put out there, and so we see other people's impressions and we kind of get sucked up into that, and we want to be that, and then in the process of all of that, we forget who we are, and we forget that our own impression is just as valid, So I think it's a really good idea just not to pay too much attention to what's going on, because especially as women, women compare a lot, and we look at what she has and it's better than what we have, and it doesn't make us feel very good.
No.
So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so the other thing I love about you, and I love reading about you, is the self-talk stuff. And so I wanted to sort of put it to you. Do you believe in self-talk, and what type of self-talk do you believe in?
Okay, well, we've all got that voice in our head, like we all go driving or walking down the street having weird conversations with ourselves, right? So, and we can pump ourselves up. We really can. Like, I often walk around yelling at myself in my head, and I yell at myself things like, I am shit hot rich, I am awesome, I am powerful, I've got a bazillion followers, everyone hangs off every word I say, right? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I am, and I have to check that my mouth is not moving when I'm walking around the street saying this. And it sounds really silly, but you can really empower yourself by walking around saying that. And as you do it, you notice that you stand taller and prouder, and your kind of aura kind of changes, and it's pretty powerful stuff. However, you can't rely on that, right? Like, if you are really, really, really not feeling it, just saying a few powerful words to yourself is not going to cut it, right? Like, if you're feeling underwhelmed with your efforts, or if you've got low self-esteem or low confidence, you've got to dig yourself out of that little well before you get to the point of saying those things. And so the way, I guess, to dig yourself out and lift yourself up when you're a bit too deep down, to just yell yourself into action, basically.
Yeah.
It's quite hard, and it requires a lot of internal work. And so I'm a really big fan of journaling.
Yeah.
And just asking yourself questions. So ask yourself, why do I feel like this? Or why am I doing this? Or why am I not doing that? Or how can I better do this? Or how can I make myself feel like this? And if you just write everything down, you need to write it down. If it's just in your head, your thoughts are too fast and you just get carried away. You need to write it down. It slows it down, gives you clarity, right? So just ask yourself, whatever it is you need to know, like, why can't I just do this? And then just wait. The answer will just come to you. You just write your way through it. Just journal through it, and that's how I pretty much create my business, through journal. I've got, most people would call it like a business journal. I call it my ideas book. Yeah, and I've had an ideas book for years and years and years, and it's got everything. I've always had everything from how my website is going to look, to ideas that I'd like to create, to courses I want to create, to even, like, just this morning I was writing down personality traits of my ideal clients so that I can call them into my life. Because if I don't write it down, then it's just really vague in my head. So,
I love that,
so
yeah.
to get just write it down. And if you're feeling, okay, but you want to feel better, just start yelling at yourself.
Yeah.
Like, be your own cheerleader.
No, I love that, and it is so true about that. I've always been a big writer, and I do believe in the journaling I don't do it as much as I should, but I know when I do it, women especially, we have so much going on in our heads. I often tell my clients about a psychologist I once seen when my husband and I were getting divorced. Those things happen. But he was trying to explain to us how men and women are very different, and how men go into a room in their mind and shut the door, and they just stay in that room. Whereas women, all the doors in every hallway in our brain are constantly open. So we're constantly running from one idea to the next. And it can create, overwhelm, overthinking, procrastination, the whole work. So writing it out and getting it on paper just helps you just to get that portion of it out of your head. And, it's that one less thing running around.
Yeah, and on that, that's the whole multitasking thing, the fact that we do think of a million different things all at the same time. And like you say, if you just put it down on paper, then you can actually see it, and you can make some sense of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's, really, really good. And the self-talk stuff as well. It sounds funny to do, but I think we all in some way do it. And it's just sort of what level you want to take it to. But it is, I think after you start doing it for a little while, and even if it is just like, I know for me, I go to bed and I have 4 words that I like to say to myself, or like, I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And just saying those words to yourself before you go to bed, it also helps stop your mind from overthinking. And it sort of helps calm you as well, and gives you a little bit of confidence.
Absolutely. And, you can use those words that you use before you go into any known stressful situation. Like if you know you're going into a stressful situation, like if you're going to have like a stressful meeting with someone, or if you've got a really stressful day coming up, or just something that's going to cause overwhelm, you just say those words to yourself in advance, like before you go into that situation, and then bam, like you're there. Like studies have been done on this stuff. So, this is how you can be your true self.
Yeah.
Rather than getting caught up in all the nonsense that goes on in your head.
Yeah, excellent. I love it. I love that. So obviously, no matter how amazing everyone is on their blocks and self-talk and the rest of it, they all still will come about. So what helps you when you are having blocks or having a tough time? What really helps you sort of motivate or get motivated to, to do those things and overcome those blocks?
Coffee.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't really believe in the whole let's get motivated thing. I'm not really a motivational person, and anyone who's ever worked with me will know I'm not I cheerlead myself, but it's in a very weird way. Like I yell at myself, and I don't. I'm not anyone's cheerleader. In fact, I'm quite. I'm more like those motivational quotes and posters. I'm like the demotivational person, because that's just my sense of humor, right? So I think, how do you motivate yourself? That's like a really hard question. Yeah. I think rather than decide that you're going to motivate yourself, I think it's best if you have a cup of coffee. No, if you write down. Again, this comes to the journaling thing. Write down what it is that you really want to do. And there's several ways you can go about this. If you're feeling like really stuck, just ask yourself this question, write it down. What do I really want? Right? And then and then you can just do it. If you know what you really want, but you're a little bit lost, maybe you're stuck on content, or maybe you're stuck on what to share with people. And I get like this quite a bit, because sometimes I might, as you know, I might blog like 3 times in one day, and then I have a bit of a drought for a day or two, right? And So what I then just
Normal people, may I just point out, I struggle sometimes to get a blog out on a fortnight, so that's amazing in itself that you can do 3 in one day.
yeah, and I often do between 1 and 3 videos in a day on top of that as well.
Oh,
So, but what I do is I'll ask myself, okay, how can I make the biggest impact upon my people right now? Or if I'm going in various Facebook groups, I think, okay, what's the vibe of this group? What do these people need to know right now? How can I best help these particular people right now? Or I might think of like a favorite client and I might think, okay, what's the problem that this person has had or is having? Okay, what can I do to help them the most? And then in turn, I'll be helping people with similar issues. I always just ask the question, like, what do I need to do? What do I really want to do? And what can I do? And then, I find by just then working out some answers, then suddenly, like, and this is how I end up blogging, like, often multiple times a day. And I send emails to my list daily, right? Like 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I might use 1 days in a whole month, right? So every time I come up with all that kind of stuff, I just ask, well, what do these people need to know right now? Or how can I make the biggest impact upon a certain person's life or on this group's life? Or I just ask, what do I need to do? What do I really want to do? And how can I do it? And then blah, blah, it just comes out. So, yeah, and then I feel motivated because I've hopefully done something awesome. I've hopefully helped at least one person. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love the writing style that you have. And as I said, for me, even though I love writing, I struggle sometimes with that. And I really love that you just pointed out the approach to it, how you think about your client and what they need at that time. And obviously, by thinking about that client, you're also thinking about your other clients, because usually your ideal client have very similar, traits and problems and issues. So I think that's great to have pointed that out. And you are a machine with all that stuff, with writing that stuff. So I love that. And as I said, I love reading it. You inspire me so much with a lot of that stuff. So that's awesome. We can all take great tips off that. So just on that, totally a bit off topic. But so with your writing, you just do it as it comes. You don't have like a writing schedule or a blogging plan or anything like that?
I would love to, but my son, as you can tell, on me, right?
Yeah.
And he's always up early, right? So we're up at 3:30 this morning, as I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
And that's not really normal, but he used to get up at about 5 o'clock every morning, right? It used to be quite regular. And so, and I'm a morning person, but I'm not a 5 a.m. person, right? I think 5 a.m. is sleep time. But what I used to do then is I used to kick my husband out of bed and say, you look after the baby and I'll get on the computer. And I was just a bleary-eyed mess, like, especially after being up like 2 or 3 times already in the night. And so, but I would just force myself to write something, because I think you've got to share some kind of message, or you've got to do something, right? And if that means doing it at 5 a.m., do it. And I would love to keep doing that, but lately it just hasn't been happening.
Yeah.
So basically, that's when I just say, okay, right, now's the time. And if I don't feel inspired, tough titties, because I don't have time any other time, right? It's not going to happen. So that's why I ask myself these questions, to do with what would people need to know right now, because otherwise, if I waited for inspiration to hit, I wouldn't actually be able to write anything at that particular time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I force myself to do it quite often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I won't leave you too much longer now that Bob is awake. But just finishing off, I guess, is there any final tips you can give people, or the girls who are just in those first steps and overwhelmed? I know that you've really covered off on a few bit today, but any final thoughts?
Yeah. So what I go for a bit of a wonder. So, well, I guess all I would say is, hello.
It's so cute.
Oh,
Oh.
it's a bit of a shock, isn't it? All I would say is just be 100% true to yourself and only do things that you truly resonate with. Because even if you try to implement things that you think are going to work or that you've seen work with other people, if you don't 100% resonate with it, it is not going to work for you. Or even if it does, you're not going to maintain it. So always just check in with yourself. You know, am I being true to myself? That's the key to life.
Yeah, I think that's so spot on too. Just keeping true to yourself, because playing someone else's game or living someone else's business doesn't get you anywhere. So yeah, I think that's amazing. Well, I just also, I'm obviously going to put links in for everyone. So if they wanted to come and check you out and check out your amazing writing and what you do. But is there anything you're working on now that you wanted to sort of tell us about, that the girls can come and see you or anything like that?
Yeah, look, I'd just say, like, if anyone's, you know, interested in more, do just check out my blog because, like you say, there's a ton of info there. I blog pretty much daily, so you can find that at annashelley.com/blog. And if you rummage around, you can just sign up for my email list. That, you know, there'll be a link to sign up to something at the end of each blog post. If you like it, and if you can handle daily emails from me, and you know, I don't necessarily blog daily because sometimes I don't have time. I might just flick things across in the email, so there may be extra things in the email and freebies and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like what I say, just have a browse around the website and just sign up if you can handle daily emails and get more. Basically.
Yeah, awesome. And I can vouch. Well, I don't get your daily emails, but I can vouch for the writing. It's not like it's like nothing I've ever seen before or experienced. It's not.
Oh, really?
You know, it's just you being you, and that's what I love about it. It's you being very original. So you know, I think that it's it's something that definitely is an amazing thing to sign on to and read all about. So awesome. Thanks so much, Anna. I really appreciate you both being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us as well.
No worries at all. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And as I said, Anna's links and details of how you can find her will be below the video. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.